Welcome to episode 143 of Timm Talk, the podcast about the DC animated universe, co-created by Bruce Timm. I am Chris Lord.
I'm Cameron Dexter.
Do you find it really confusing now that it's every other week? Like,
Yes.
Does it really throw you off?
Mm-hmm.
Like, I have to think extra hard about what I've actually done in the last 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Like, in terms of plugs and news.
Well, yeah, because so much happens in 2 weeks now.
Yeah.
But at the same time, nothing happens.
Exactly. Yeah. I have to like go through and like date news items to figure out if we actually talked about them or not because I can't.
Yeah. Well, we already had that stumble, over Christmas. We
Yeah,
talked
that's
about
true.
the same trailer like 3 weeks in a row.
I think that just means that you and I are very flappable.
Yeah.
Like we're far from unflappable. The littlest things will just completely knock us over.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, we will be talking not this week, but we will be actually putting out an extra episode next week for Birds of Prey.
Yes. Which I have seen, and I will be silent.
Yeah, I have. I'm literally going to see it right after we record this.
Mm-hmm.
So that'll be a very interesting conversation, to say the least.
Yes.
But in the meantime, we do have a little bit of news to cover here. A few things happened. Obviously, the Super Bowl happened between our previous episode and this. We had
Real
some
sports-centered episode this week.
Oh my God! Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
You can really see how ignorant we are when it comes to the sportings.
Yes.
We watched the game, kind of.
Mm-hmm.
You were rooting for
Chiefs.
for the Chiefs.
Yep.
I was rooting for San Francisco. We both left before the end.
Yep.
So,
You could tell how dedicated we were.
we were. But I mean, there was obviously a few TV spots scattered throughout there. There was a No Time to Die TV spot, which I have watched so many times.
Good. I'm glad you got something good out of it.
You son of a bitch.
What?
But you didn't enjoy the No Time to Die TV spot?
No, I was thinking that was for you, and then Mulan was for me, and I didn't care for the Mulan trailer.
Yeah, there was like a full trailer.
Yeah.
Too, and we both watched it. I honestly didn't remember anything that happened in that trailer because
it's pretty much the same clips we've already had.
yeah, there's nothing. I think you and I were both very hopeful for this one that it would be like the outlier because it was the one that you felt like could actually be adapted to something new. And
Yeah,
then they
and
haven't
I've
done anything cool
expanded
with it.
that list, and I continue to have that conversation with people of what are the live action movies that we want to see. And by we, I mean me.
You,
and only
you
me.
and you exclusively. Yes.
Yeah, I think Mulan was the one that could have. I mean, I don't want to speak in the negative, like I've already seen it. I think Mulan is the one that could work. I think Treasure Planet would be a great one.
Yeah.
We have the VFX for it now.
Yeah. Same with Atlantis.
Same with Atlantis. Yeah, I was going to say for Treasure Planet, just get all the background art from Jupiter Ascending and just get rid of all the characters.
Oh, that would work.
Yeah.
Would they still give the main character 90s hair?
Absolutely. It's back.
It kind of is back.
It's fully back.
Yeah, I know. Everything old is new again.
Yeah. The bowl cut is back, and then the middle part is fully in fashion again.
Yeah.
And I don't like it.
Yeah, the Eric Matthews.
Mm-hmm.
It's coming right back around.
Yeah, I'm not a fan.
No, I'm not here for it either.
Yeah, I could never pull it off as a kid. I think I tried once.
Please tell me there's a photo of that out there.
Well, I tried
somewhere.
it for when I dressed as Brink for Disney Halloween.
I wasn't there for that.
You weren't, but I posted photos.
Oh, okay. Well, then good, they exist.
Yeah.
But I'm too lazy to go find them.
It's fair.
But yeah, I think the most exciting trailer that came out of the Super Bowl though would have had to have been the Marvel Disney Plus shows. Mm-hmm. So I mean, it was very short.
The trailer with air quotes. It was a compilation of pictures.
Yeah, basically very.
Which is what video is, but that's not my point.
Yeah, very brief snippets from Falcon and the Winter Soldier, from WandaVision, and then like one little moment from Loki, essentially.
Yes.
What'd you think?
I'm excited. I don't think I'm any more excited from this. Like, people are speaking like this is the next coming event, and I'm like, well, it's fine. I think seeing the WandaVision stuff got me the most excited.
I would agree with that. Yeah.
Just because we got like something, whereas the Winter Soldier was. I guess we had that shot of, we see Zemo is back and them fighting together against him.
Yeah, I mean, it was pretty cool to see Sam wielding the shield,
Yeah.
and like throwing amongst the trees. There was I think that last shot is at some sort of football game, and I think that's supposed to be U.S. Agent, the Wyatt Russell character. Obviously not Steve Rogers.
Right.
Yeah, I guess I'm with you on that one. I think the WandaVision seemed the most interesting. It also felt the most different. It felt weird and fun, and it absolutely confirmed this long-running theory that it was going to be based around different eras of sitcoms. So like there was kind of one section that looked a little bit Roseanne, one that looked, 1950s.
Yeah, we had like an I Love Lucy feel. We had Roseanne. We had like an All in the Family kind of thing.
Yeah, when we got to see her in her full comic book costume, which is pretty fun. And to me, that one it looks weird and fun and different. Whereas I think Falcon and the Winter Soldier, it's going to be good. I think there's really talented people involved in it. Malcolm Spellman is, I think, the showrunner on it. He's done some really good stuff. I think that's going to be good, but I think that's going to feel more in line with like a Civil War. I think they're going to try and really...
Yeah, it's not going to feel... It's going to feel like the rest of the MCU.
Yeah, I think they're going to hew to that tone specifically of like Winter Soldier and Civil War, which obviously works really well for those characters and for that story. But WandaVision's like, oh, we haven't seen this yet. Mm-hmm. Like, this is weird.
Yeah.
And I think that the more they lean into genre, the more excited I get with their stuff. So that's
it's similar to like how I feel about Doom Patrol. Just like it's just weird, and every week I'm coming back of just like, what am I gonna see?
Yeah.
Because like I don't know.
Man, still Danny the gender fluid sentient street.
Yeah, it's so good.
It's still really, really good.
Who's powered by a never-ending burlesque show.
I fucking love it. It's like the inside of my brain. But I mean, along the lines of the Marvel Disney stuff, we also got a casting announcement.
We did.
The great Owen Wilson will be lending some sort of character to Loki. We don't know what yet. What's the character that you're hoping it is?
I've heard rumors of Throg, the Thor frog.
Thor frog?
Yes.
Frog Thor.
If we would have had the recording going like 5 minutes earlier and heard us attempting to say that phrase properly, Frog Thor.
Do you think Frog Thor is going to be in Thor 4?
I don't.
Okay. If so, you would be so shocked you'd hit the floor.
I would. Yeah. There was a post someone did this week about Owen Wilson, and they kind of mapped out how much money he's made through his career, and then dissected that to, on average, how many words he said per movie.
Okay.
And then from there, how many wows he says per movie.
Wows.
Yeah. And they basically came down to like Owen Wilson has made like $120,000 just saying wow. And I'm like, thank you, person, for spending your time to answer that question so I don't have to.
We didn't know we needed an answer to it, but now that we do know, it's that much more satisfying.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I honestly think I'm lowballing it. I don't remember the exact number, but I think it's a lot more than what I said. I think it's closer to like $400,000.
I mean, that's great. I love that he's being included. Mm-hmm. Like, because he's an actor that has a persona and like brings personality to something. Like, he's distinct. And so if they're going for someone distinct like that, they're clearly doing it for a reason. And so you kind of get the sense like, oh, they're doing something cool and interesting and fun there. And I'm excited to see what that'll end up being.
Yeah. And he's a person I didn't think, like when I think like, oh, who do I want to see in the MCU? Owen Wilson is nowhere near the top of my list. But when I saw the name, I'm like, oh, okay, this is going to be good.
It's a fun surprise. It's like Jeff Goldblum. Like, oh, we're going to have Jeff Goldblum in Thor Ragnarok.
Yeah.
You're like, oh.
Okay.
All right.
Sure.
I'm here for this. Mm-hmm. Let's see what they do.
So does this mean, though, Vince Vaughn will be shortly after?
I could leave. I could be happy without a Vince Vaughn, to be perfectly honest. Mm-hmm. I've never really found him particularly appealing.
Okay.
I've heard, though, that his more recent serious stuff has been pretty good.
He did True Detective, right?
Yeah, I didn't see all that season, though. I think I started watching it and it didn't carry through with me. But was it Brawl in Cell Block 99 and Dragged Across Concrete apparently supposed to be both really good, and he's supposed to be really good in them. So, but I don't know if we need like super intense Vince Vaughn in our MCU. I don't know.
I just like them as a duo. I think they're very fun together.
Do you like Wedding Crashers?
This is gonna be very controversial. I like The Internship more than Wedding Crashers.
Okay, I've never actually seen The Internship.
You will hate it.
Yeah, I'm sure I would.
Because it's your people.
Oh, tech people?
Yes.
Yeah, I left Northern California because I hate tech people so much.
Yeah, I mean,
I didn't even want to get in entertainment. I just want to do anything but tech.
Yeah, all of the jokes are, it's two old guys going to work as interns at Google. And every joke is at the expense of everyone that works at Google.
Yeah. Well, in that case, I might like it.
Okay, yeah. I guess
actually, now that I think of it, I might enjoy it. I don't get the appeal of Wedding Crashers. I think the first half to 2/3 is pretty good when they're out on like the island of the house with the family. I think that all that stuff is pretty funny and that works. But the movie goes on for like another hour, and that other hour is awful, like absolutely terrible and really stupid.
Because the first 2/3 are a comedy movie.
Yeah,
a studio comedy, as some might say.
As I must now say.
As some Chris
losing
would say.
bets left and right.
But then the second third, or the last third.
The second third.
Yeah, last third is then be like, oh wait, this is supposed to be a rom-com movie, and they have to resolve all the rom-com tropes and now in 40 minutes instead of an hour and a half.
I know, and Todd Phillips has a weird relationship with genre and tone, doesn't he?
Yes.
Yeah, he does. And by the time this comes out, we will now know how many Oscars Joker will have won.
Yeah. What's your over under?
I'm gonna give it 2.
Okay.
I'm gonna give it. I would give it 2 with an over under of 1, which I realize is not that great of a spread, but I think it'll probably end up getting Best Actor. I wouldn't be totally shocked if it got Best Score. One of the reasons, of course, being that we have very, very few female composers. And not that it should be awarded for just that. I think it's also a very effective score. But I think that might tip it in its favor a little bit. And I would also like to see more female composers get recognition. So I wouldn't be opposed to that, being the film score person that I am.
Yes.
I think it could possibly also pick up maybe one more for maybe costuming or
who else is
makeup or something
costume?
like that. All we know is that it's not Rocket Man, which is
absolutely
absolutely
a
insane.
Disgrace.
But yeah, I mean, the fewer it wins, the better, because I've said repeatedly, and I will continue to say, that I have a lot of problems with that movie's success, both commercial and critical. So yes,
Joker, Irishman, Little Women, JoJo. It's gonna be Once Upon a Time in Hollywood.
It probably will be. Which, I mean, the costuming in that is really quite good. So
yeah,
wouldn't be super.
And the Irishman, it's gonna be Once Upon a Time.
Yeah, I think when I did my work ballot, I think I may have given it to the Irishman. I feel like the Irishman is probably.
Suits?
Well, I think what's going to end up happening is that I would suspect that it's going to be a toss-up between 1917 and The Irishman for what takes home the most. I think 1917 is going to get Best Picture, and I'm pretty sure it's going to get Best Cinematography. If it doesn't, what the flying fuck? I will get to that. That's one of my plugs this week is 1917, but that movie is fucking beautiful.
Yes. Yeah, I've also seen it now.
Oh, good. Okay, we'll talk about it. It's gorgeous. So I think it's going to get at least those 2. But I suspect The Irishman may end up picking up more awards. I think it's going to get Joe Pesci for Best Supporting Actor.
Yeah.
I actually, on my ballot, gave it for Best Visual Effects because I feel like the Academy won't want to give it to Avengers, which probably deserves Best Visual Effects. They'll be like, oh, yeah, because Marty did the de-aging, we'll give it to him, even though the de-aging net is terrible for most of it.
Yeah.
But that's my theory. It's going to be Best Picture, 1917, Best Cinematography, 1917. The most awards will probably end up going to The Irishman.
Okay.
So, I don't know. We'll see.
It's a good theories.
And I think original screenplay will pretty much unquestionably go to Tarantino. I feel like he's basically just a shoo-in whenever that comes around.
Yeah. Where I feel like the Academy just very and full of anguish just has to hand it to him.
Yeah.
Because the Academy does not like Tarantino.
I mean, I don't like Tarantino.
I feel like he's a hard person to get along with.
I like his movies. Yeah. I find him as a person kind of despicable. And just really, really gross and self-serving. But damn it, do I really like his movies?
Who of the writer of the quirky writers, who do you think has done more cocaine in their life? Tarantino or Sorkin?
Oh, Sorkin.
Okay.
I mean, I unquestionably Sorkin. Wait, also didn't Stephen King have a real bad coke problem for a long time too?
I feel like he had a real bad everything problem.
That's true, actually.
Because there was the 6 years where he's like, oh yeah, I wrote a bunch of books and I have no memory of any of them.
Yeah, Matthew Perry said the same thing about several seasons of Friends. Okay, but normally I think I'd probably give it to actually Stephen King of the lot, but if we're doing just screenwriters, I mean, he's done a little bit of screenwriting, but he's primarily a novelist. So Sorkin, absolutely. I mean, look at the dialogue.
Yeah.
Tarantino is absolutely amazing with dialogue, but his isn't necessarily super fast-paced dialogue, right? He sits in a conversation.
Yeah.
Whereas Sorkin literally had to create the walk and talk to actually have enough frenetic energy to justify the way people talk in his scripts.
Yeah.
So definitely Sorkin.
All right, fair.
I think I've said this before, that I've seen him before, right? I talked about this.
No.
So for the film Steve Jobs.
Yes. Okay, you did mention that. Yes.
Have I mentioned on the podcast though?
Oh, I don't know.
All right, I'll tell this story real quickly. So when Steve Jobs is filming, because if you've seen the movie, it takes place across 3 different major product launches from Apple's history. And so the first section takes place in 1984 at the launch of, I think the first
84 would be the Apple II.
The Apple II, yes, launched Apple II. So it was done at the Flint Center, which is an
85
actual
was the famous commercial.
Yeah, so it was done at an actual venue at De Anza College, which is where I went to study film for a few years after graduating with my engineering degree. So while we were there, they were filming it because the building still exists and it really hasn't been updated since the 80s. So they actually went back to the exact same location that it originally happened and filmed it there. And so we would get out of class and just go and hang out next to the set. So we'd be standing off on the sidelines, and over there is Michael Fassbender having a smoke, and you can hear Seth Rogen's laugh, and his laugh in person is absolutely as charming as you would hope it would be.
That's good to hear.
It is the most infectious, beautiful sound I've ever heard in my entire life. But while we're standing there, this man just races past us in a hurry, and he's wearing that very classic 90s leather sleeved kind of Letterman style jacket, right? But not a sports one, just what everyone wore in the 90s.
Yeah.
And he looked super pissed. Took a second to go, oh, that was Aaron Sorkin, looking mad as hell.
Great. Someone missed a beat on their dialogue.
Exactly. Yeah. But I mean, by not necessarily by contrast, but then also, Danny Boyle, we saw him every once in a while. Super lovely guy. He brought in a team one day. It was him, his UPM, his director of photography, I think one of his producers, and they just took their lunch break, which they have no free time at all, and came and talked to some of the classes and just answered questions.
Oh,
and it was
cool.
Really personable and charming. And I'm actually in Steve Jobs.
You've mentioned
on this podcast?
Yes.
Have I? Okay.
A few times.
I can't remember, Cameron.
We've only done 200 episodes. How can you not remember?
I can't remember all of it. But yeah, if you watch the trailer, you'll see me with real bad hair.
Great.
So,
was it a nice 90s middle part?
No, it was an 80s kind of. I just didn't style my hair.
Okay.
So it just lays very flat.
Okay.
But I look for old photos of my dad from that era, and I just kind of model my look off his. It's kind of a fun time.
There you go.
Okay, there's actually other news to talk about. What
else do we have?
My random entertainment stories. We actually haven't talked about The Batman yet.
Oh, that's right.
Production officially started after we recorded the last episode, and they put out a press release, and we got confirmation of who is playing who. So I'm gonna go through this real quick here. But obviously Matt Reeves is directing. Robert Pattinson is playing Batman Bruce Wayne, and as per the news, Zoe Kravitz as Catwoman, Paul Dano as the Riddler. Although actually they give their character names, so Selena Kyle and Edward Nashton, not Enigma.
I don't like that,
which is interesting.
I don't like that
I think
at
that might
all.
be from the comics. I remember. But confirmation that Jeffrey Wright is of course playing James Gordon, John Turturro as Carmine Falcone, Peter Sarsgaard. I almost said Skarsgård. Peter Sarsgaard.
Okay, thank you. I don't want to get into this debate again.
We don't have time for it. As D.A. Gil Coulson, which I'm not familiar with that character, and Jamie Lawson as mayoral candidate Bella Real, with Andy Serkis as Alfred and Colin Farrell as Oswald Cobblepot.
I didn't realize Andy Serkis was playing
Alfred. Yeah,
Alfred. I forgot that one.
Yeah, that one was announced a little while ago. It's an interesting choice, but I'm kind of here for it.
Yeah,
I love Serkis. So
yeah, and his live action performances, they're good. Unless, do you think he's playing a CGI Alfred?
I absolutely think he is.
Okay.
Yeah, he's just Michael Gough. It's a CGI ghost. Also, would you watch a movie that was just called Circus and it was all of Andy Serkis's characters interacting with each other?
Absolutely.
Okay, yeah.
Yes, 100%.
Okay. Someone make it.
Isn't there something like a performance called Circus?
Well, I mean, there's an actual hotel chain called Circus.
That's it.
Yeah, there's one up in Reno. There's one in Vegas.
So is it a remake of Grand Budapest, but
Circus starring
Yes.
Andy Serkis?
Mm-hmm.
Yes, as Andy Serkis.
Yes.
He's playing himself, but he's getting lost amongst all the different characters he's played in his life.
Amazing.
Yeah, I would watch that.
Because what's the other joke one? The crisis, but with all Chris's.
Oh, I'd watch that.
So you have Hemsworth, Evans, Pine, Pratt, Walken.
Let's throw them all in there.
I think
right?
Walken would be the villain.
Yeah, he would have to be.
Plumber. Is he still alive?
He is.
There you go.
Yeah. Chris Molina.
Mm-hmm. Directed by Nolan.
Yeah. written by Christopher Yost, who's one of the screenwriters of Thor. Look at that poll.
Maybe we'll give it should we give it to Columbus? Because Chris Columbus doesn't get a
he produces it.
There you go. Okay, there we go.
Okay, there we go. Yeah. I'm so watch this.
Yeah.
Plus, I would have a really good chance of getting
you could be a
there
background
somewhere. Yeah.
I just want to read the credits.
It would be the best thing ever. All right, the last little piece of news here, something that we have to talk about, I think by obligation at this point, despite my complete lack of interest. Fast 9 trailer.
Hell yeah, we do. Oh, I buried the lead so much.
I saved it for last.
Oh man, how much time do I have on this?
2 minutes.
2 minutes. All right.
Actually, you have however long it takes to do a quarter mile, Cameron.
All right. I live my life a quarter mile at a time.
Well, you used to live at 1/4 mile at a time.
It's true. That was 37 years ago at this point. This trailer is fucking insane.
It looks so bad.
What was
so
bad? The thing that I sent you and Shane. It's what happens.
Well, when your family's not your family.
Yeah, no. It's what happens when your family's family is not your family, but their family wants to attack your family. Are they still family?
Are they still family? I love only in this universe could Vin Diesel and John Cena be brothers.
Yes.
And John Cena is the younger brother who's also the bad guy.
Yeah.
Like this is definitely this is the opposite of like art imitating life.
Yes.
Like John Cena, who by all accounts I've ever heard is like one of like the sweetest, most personable, like kind-hearted like celebrities out there. And not that I've heard bad things about Vin Diesel necessarily, but like I don't think he has quite that same like warm, charming reputation. So I just love that like Vin Diesel still has to be the hero.
Yeah, I mean, of course he does. So what we see in the trailer is Charlize Theron is back
with the world's worst haircut.
Another great haircut.
Somehow her hair got worse. I didn't know that was possible.
I don't think this is worse than the dreadlock.
No, the
dreadlocks were so greasy and gross.
Yeah, but this is not even a bowl cut. It's like a mushroom cut.
Yeah, because she had to quickly get rid of all her horrible dreadlocks.
Yeah, but no. I would take dreadlock Charlize Theron over weird mushroom bowl cut Charlize Theron any day.
So we see them.
She's there. Helen Mirren's in there. Who is she talking to in the car? Was she talking to Vin Diesel?
Probably.
I can't remember.
Because I assume Statham and The Rock are not going to be in this one.
I think so. Well, we know The Rock won't be in it.
Yes.
Yeah. We know that.
It's too busy giving a cruise in the jungle.
Exactly. We know that definitively.
Yes. So we have those two. They're teaming up to fight the group. But then the biggest bombshell came out at the end of the trailer. Han is back.
Han is back.
I'm so excited. Han was one of my first favorite characters since Tokyo Drift.
Yeah.
He's great. And then he died and they ripped him from us.
Then he died once.
Yep.
And then he died again.
Yep.
And now he's alive.
Of course he is.
Again. So because now death clearly has no consequence in this universe.
Well, I have theories.
But both Michelle Rodriguez and Han are back.
The Michelle Rodriguez one, yeah, they're both pretty dumb.
Yeah. But
because the Han one, you see him get shot.
Wait, I thought he got killed in the car crash. Oh, and then
because Statham comes out and just shoots him.
Oh, also further proof that death has no consequence because Jason Statham murdered so many people in these movies, and no one thinks about that anymore. Yep. Now he just like sips beer in the morning in some random pub.
Yeah, about to kill just a bunch of cops.
Mm-hmm. What the fuck? He just like killed hospital orderlies. He just like murdered straight up like doctors.
Yeah,
just to see his brother. He didn't actually do anything. It was like. It's a good character introduction, to be fair, but what the fuck?
So I think this is it's gonna be so good. This is what led to the question that I asked you before, which we're gonna save for another episode.
Save for a different episode. Yeah.
I think Han is a clone.
Oh, I am here for that 100%. Because that's where technology could now exist in this universe.
Yep. So,
do you think he's also been super soldiered? Or do you think John Cena's been super soldiered? Because he like catches a car at one point.
Yeah, but that's just John Cena being John Cena.
That's absolutely true. Yeah, he just did that day on set, and it was like, oh my god,
yeah,
John Cena like genuinely saving people on the film. They just happen
to have the cameras rolling. No, I think Han is a clone made by the same company that made the super soldiers because they're gonna try and weave in that universe now.
Everclear?
No.
Everly?
Everclear is the band.
Oh, also the really high proof alcohol.
That's true.
Everly is a restaurant in Los Angeles.
Yeah, EverQuest is the video game.
Ever After?
As a bad romance, as a bad dating show.
Yeah.
Whatever.
Evermore?
Yeah,
Everwood? No, that was a WB drama back in the day.
Whatever it is, the one that Idris Elba was part of. I think they're going to try and weave that into the Fast universe and kind of. I think they're going to make that the big bad, because I think 10. I've been saying this since 6. I think 10's going to be the last one.
Do you think they're going to go to space?
I want them to go to space. Everyone wants them to go to space.
I mean, look.
Where else can they go now? They gave him a brother.
Elon Musk launched a car into space.
Yes.
There is real world precedence, which, to be fair, this franchise does not need.
Could you imagine them just drifting on the side of the space station?
Yeah.
Yes.
I mean, we see in this movie them drive, I'm pretty sure it was a Challenger, off a cliff, and Dom aims it towards a falling rope bridge. He snags it in the wheel well and then swings like Tarzan across a ravine.
Yes.
We also got our favorite, a truck flip over the nose.
A big truck flip.
A big truck flip. But like, this isn't Christopher Nolan like, we're actually going to flip this fucking truck on the middle of Wacker Street in Chicago. This is just a massive CGI truck flip.
Yes.
Because I guess the massive CGI like nuclear tower fall from the spinoff was too grating for Vin Diesel. He had to up it somehow.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
So I think the story is going to be Charlize Theron will be part of that company, or we'll find out she used to be part of that company.
Yeah.
And she defected and stole the cloning plans, cloned Han. So he's he can infiltrate the group.
Oh.
And so now you have an inside family member in the family fighting against
the
real family, not the shitty old Sierra Corona family.
Do you think it'll be annoying for everyone around us if I bring an actual like physical clicker counter into the theater to keep track of how many times they say family?
I'll bring my family photo album. I feel like we can all be part of this together.
Right. I think I might actually legitimately have to like bring a notepad and pen and just like start doing tally marks over the course of the movie, because I'm not gonna be able to keep track of it on fingers.
We already lost count last time. We were all wrong last time.
Were we?
Yeah, I think Sharon was the closest, but
no,
all missed.
I was the closest.
Oh, you were. Yeah. We were all off by like 3.
Yeah, but yes, I think we need to actually I think we all need to bring tallies with us this time.
Yeah.
Fucking A.
I can't wait.
And you're gonna make me see this. This is what
Chris. At this point, you're just as excited to see the train wreck as we are.
No,
you can't.
No,
you wouldn't be able to live with yourself if you didn't see this movie.
You know what I could do instead?
You can continue to put the blame on me, because you don't want to admit, you don't want to see yourself in the mirror that you've become. But you're a Fast fan.
I am absolutely not. You know what I could do instead of seeing this movie? Literally everything else on the planet. I could read a book.
No.
I could sleep. Maybe go
There's
for
no
a
books
hike.
about Fast and Furious.
That's true. Because no one who reads
That's true.
watches Fast and Furious.
The Venn diagram of readers and Fast fans.
The Venn diagram.
Shut up. If I can chug this pillow at you. Of readers and Fast fans is a very small,
very narrow sliver.
Yes. I think I covered my 2 minutes.
All right. Well, so speaking of family, should we move along to our first episode of Static Shock here? The brother sister act.
The what?
That's what it's called. The brother sister act.
Which episode did you watch?
The next one on DC Universe. It was that, and then Static Shaq. The one where like Sharon thinks that Virgil is static.
Well,
what did you watch?
I watched Static Shaq and Permafrost.
No, you missed one.
I did. Let me look it up real quick. I got so excited for Static Shaq for Static Shaq.
You just skipped it.
I think I just skipped an episode. Hold on.
Do you want me to just talk about it without you knowing the episode at all?
Let me just read a synopsis really quick.
Okay, so the whole story basically is that Sharon, off of a couple little clues, thinks that Virgil is in fact Static. And while this is going on, a couple new bang babies, Boom, the guy who has the speaker in his chest.
Oh, I like his design.
And then Mirage, who can just project images, basically, are on a crime spree. And so, but their backstory is that they're both orphans, they're brother and sister.
Okay, yeah, that's right. Because Mirage isn't as bad. Doesn't he try to separate them?
So the whole thing is that their sympathetic backstory is that they lost both their parents. Like first their mom first, and they're dead shortly after, and now they went from living in like the nice suburbs to living. I think it's kind of implied in their like grandmother's like rundown place. We never actually see the grandmother, but they're basically going around stealing to get money to support their grandmother in some sort of capacity. They don't really explicitly state how. But Mirage doesn't want to do this, and Boom feels like it's the only way for them to do what they need to do. So they're off on this spree, but obviously it's that dynamic is there to play off of the dynamic between Virgil and Sharon, which I'm actually kind of bummed you didn't watch this episode because it's actually like...
I'll go back later.
Of course, you'll go back later. But it's nice because it's the first time we actually get to spend a lot of time with the two of them. So Mr. Hawkins is out of town, so Sharon's like in charge. It's just kind of all about like their dynamic, but it's the first time we actually see them kind of being like warm towards each other. And as soon as Sharon finds out, or as soon as she suspects that Virgil's Static, like all of a sudden she's now super nice to him, which is kind of a weird thing. It's like, I don't know if that's her having like respect for what he's doing, or just that she already likes Static, so she's happy that they're one and the same maybe, but she starts doing these nice things like taking him to a basketball game and like taking him to all this sort of stuff and being super sweet and super friendly. You're kind of wondering like, well, why can't you just do that all the time?
Because Static is famous and Virgil is not.
Well,
and when you're around famous people, you instantly become a different person.
There is that. But I mean, this episode's good too because it shows that at this point now, everyone really loves Static. Like after Boom and Mirage attack the Taj Mahal Club, which is
amazing,
exactly what you think it is. Static floats up and he starts talking to like the chief of police, whatever. Like they're like kind of buds, and they have not quite the same Batman Gordon dynamic, but they have a respect for each other. And the chiefs.
Well, if you would have watched the episode that I watched,
the episode we weren't supposed to watch, you mean?
You would have learned that it has now been a year since the Big Bang.
Oh, okay. Well, that makes sense.
So we're kind of in that like Spider-Man realm of like some people are nice to him and some people still see him as a menace.
Yeah, but like most people seem to like him. Like the cops are usually pretty cool with him. The news crews love him. They always want to interview him. Like, oh my God, it's Static.
Okay.
Woo, let's talk to Static.
Just like that?
Just like that. Professional newscasters.
Yeah, I can hear it.
Lose their shit every time they see him.
It's a real, he's like Lois impersonation.
He is the only hero in that city.
That's true.
Literally every other bang baby is either a bad guy or problematic in some sort of capacity.
It kind of makes sense because it was a gang war that was happening.
Well, there's that. But I mean, other people just randomly are getting powers. Like even these two apparently like walk through a puddle of like liquefied bang baby juice.
Great.
I immediately regret saying that phrase.
Well, I mean, we meet a few other people later. Like, there's a couple of his classmates that get powers, and they're all also bad. We do have one. There's one glimmer of hope that we'll see in the end of this season or the beginning of season 3.
Well, like Rubber Band Man has a bit of a turn.
Yeah, I mean, there's a new character though, She-Bang.
Oh, I vaguely recall.
Also, very purple costume.
Well, I mean,
purple onesie with a light purple bandana.
Oh, okay. I kind of remember She-Bang.
Yeah.
It's a great name.
It is.
Yeah. That's like...
Followed by her sister, She Move.
Thank you for that. Thank you.
I was trying to remember the rest of the lyrics in my head.
Cameron, I support you when you make dumb jokes.
Yeah, because you appreciate dumb jokes. I wither inside when I make these jokes. For your approval and your entertainment.
I wouldn't have it in the other
I want to be liked so badly that I'm willing to sell myself.
We already knew that, though, didn't we?
Yeah, that's nothing new for anybody.
You don't actually go to Disneyland. You just walk the streets.
Yeah, I just go and pick up trash, hoping someone will be like, thank you.
No, Cameron, you're the trash. You're waiting for someone to pick up.
That's true. You're right.
Cameron Dexter, common streetwalker of Disneyland.
Yeah, I just don't want to look at that. I don't want to see that mirror, that reflection of myself.
But then you're gonna find yourself some nice Disney sugar daddy.
Oh man!
And you're gonna walk into the main street store. You're gonna walk into World of Disney carrying a bunch of bags and just look at someone and go, mistake, big mistake, and turn around and walk away.
Yeah. I'll have my Pretty Women moment.
God damn it. But yours wouldn't be done to actual Pretty Woman. It'd be done to Why Should I Worry from Oliver and Company.
Yes, exactly. We also know from the episode that I watched and you didn't.
Why are we talking about that episode?
Because I'm reading the synopsis.
Cameron, we're talking about the episode that I watched and you didn't. Not that you watched and I didn't.
But it was the two like side facts of one of like it's been a year, and two we know based off of time and date that this is happening in the year 2000 right now.
Okay,
the show takes place in 2000,
which is interesting. Very interesting, because in this episode, the one that I watched and you didn't, not the one that you watched and I didn't, but in that episode, Virgil says a phrase early on. It's like, oh, that's so Y2K. And Sharon's like, what? It's like, oh, that's so last year. Like, no one cares anymore. Mm-hmm. Which means that this show would have been set in 2001.
Yes.
Help us, Maddie. We need to figure this out.
The reason it would be 2000 is they have a line about one of Virgil's friends, Omar. It's the holiday episode.
Yeah,
the one that I watched and you didn't. Not the one that you watched and I didn't.
Right.
His friend Omar is throwing a Ramadan party.
Okay. Around
Christmas, and that doesn't make sense. But then I did research in Ramadan. What calendar is that? Is that the
I don't know, to be honest.
The calendar for Ramadan is 2 weeks shorter than the Gregorian calendar. Mm-hmm. So their holidays always move around. So in the year 2000, Ramadan would have fallen on December 28th, which makes sense for a Christmas themed episode.
Well done, Cameron.
Yes. Which happened which was in 2000, and in 2001 it was like before Christmas. It was like December 12th or something.
Can I just point out something real quick?
The amount of research I put into the wrong episode. The amount of research
you did into an episode we're not even talking about.
But we will talk about it eventually.
So, but, you know...
the Islam calendar. I apologize.
Okay.
The Islam calendar is 2 weeks shorter than the Gregorian calendar. So in 2000, Ramadan would have fallen on December 27th.
Thank you very much, Cameron, for your wise insights that we don't need right now.
Mm-hmm.
But
Y2K, man.
But
so last year,
the episode we're here to talk about, the one I watched and you didn't,
not the one that I watched and you did.
Exactly.
Okay.
So, but yes, Mirage is not as keen on doing all this sort of robbery shenanigans here. And I'm gonna be honest, I watched this late last night and I don't remember all of it.
Well, honestly, it sounds almost exactly like the episode with the cousins, where the younger cousin can make things, can make figments, and then the older cousin was like, was it his cousin or his brother?
Brother.
It was an older brother.
Stepbrother.
That's it. Yeah.
Yeah, stepbrother.
His older was like, hey, let's use your powers for bad.
Yeah.
No.
Well, and the funny thing too is that the person who is disinterested in being a criminal has the same power set essentially. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's their workaround for not having heroes. Is you have the good guys just not have helpful powers.
Yeah, like reluctant villains. So, but basically what ends up happening is that Mirage essentially ends up helping Static capture Boom because she realizes like he's causing more problems than he saves. But I think the more interesting part of the story is the aspect of Sharon thinking that Virgil's Static. And one of the reasons she does that is because she sees when Static is interviewed over newscasts, he refers to a Bang Baby as being so Y2K. She's like, oh, that's what Virgil says. And then she follows him into like their neighborhood and he disappears. Like, oh, wait, I wonder if he went to her house. And then, of course, as must always happen, the solution to the, wait, aren't you the same person thing is that Mirage projects an image of Static flying through the sky to like trip Sharon up. Now, my question for you is, would it really be that big of a deal if Sharon knew that Virgil was Static?
No. You know why I say that?
Because that happens in the next episode?
Because it happens to Danny Phantom.
That's right.
Let's continue the story of how Butch Hartman just stole every episode of Static to make Danny Phantom.
Because the sister eventually finds out, right?
Yes. Jazz, right? Yeah, that's his sister, yeah. Is also a ghost hunter along with her parents. Believes that Danny is a ghost and does everything she can to try and prove it. And so they have an episode where Danny has... Is it another ghost that can turn into...
I think so. Like this, because when I was watching this episode, I'm like, I've seen this resolution of this story before, and I feel like it was from Danny Phantom.
I think So there's definitely an episode of Danny Phantom where Jazz thinks he's the ghost, and they do something to prove that he's not the ghost. But then later on in the series, she joins the team. Like they tell her straight up,
and don't tell me if I'm right or wrong on this, but.
I will tell you if you're wrong on that.
Well, because it would be a spoiler for what happens the rest of the series. But I seem to recall something similar happening with this, but I might be just thinking of Danny Phantom. But I guess we'll find out eventually. But yeah, I don't feel like it would be that big of a deal if Sharon found out. Like, so from one perspective, you could think, okay, like the reason Virgil wouldn't want her to know is that he wouldn't want her trying to stop him from being a hero, right? Which I feel like that's a pretty valid reason. I think Peter Parker is kind of a similar thing with Aunt May. It's like, she's already lost Uncle Ben. It would be such a huge weight on her shoulders if she knew I was out there doing this, and she could lose me. There's something similar to be said here of like they've already lost the mom, so like the burden that would put on the dad and on Sharon. But they both also show a lot of support for Static, especially Sharon, who like actually likes him. And when she finds out that, or when she suspects that Virgil is Static, she's even more supportive and more welcoming, and more excited about it. And Virgil sees that happening. So as I'm watching this, I'm like, why not just be honest with her? I don't really see what he gains by hiding that from her.
There's that aspect in... I'm solely basing this off of Danny Phantom. One of the big positives that come out of it is when you have someone that close on the inside, it makes it easier for like excuses.
Yeah.
So in Danny Phantom, like whenever Danny goes missing, Jazz always has like the good excuse for the parents. Like, oh, Danny has to go do this thing. He'll be right back. And so it's coming from like the trusted sibling and not the rambunctious one.
The suspicious one?
Yes, that's the better word.
Yeah.
But then on the flip side of that, when Jazz joined the team for the first episode, she kind of, since she's the older sister, she took the lead. And Danny didn't like that, where she wanted to be like in charge of everyone.
Yeah.
But she didn't have the same like knowledge base or skill set that they all had. They'd been doing this for months at that point. Where she came in and was like, oh, you have to be over there and do this. Oh, Danny, you have to do this. And she's like, no, you don't get to come in and take charge. Like, just because the older sister doesn't mean you're
not the boss.
Yeah, you don't have the boss, or you don't have to take responsibility if things go bad.
Oh yeah, there's that too.
And so I think that's kind of the more negative side of it is, and also just the generic superhero logic of the more people that know, the harder it is to keep it a secret.
There's that. Yes. I mean, I suppose it makes
Even
sense.
though she already knows Rubber Band Man's identity and has not spoiled that for anyone.
Yeah, she kept that a secret too.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, I feel like he could have probably just told her, but they had a very specific story they were telling, and as we've discussed, it happens a lot.
It does. I need to think of a name for our segment of Butch Hartman just stole this from Static.
Yeah, I'll let you ponder on that a little bit. I mean, normally I'd ask you at this point if you had any other thoughts or notes on this episode, but since
I will next week,
since you didn't watch it, yeah, it's true. You'll watch it next week, and then the whole cycle repeats. So, but even as it is, obviously, like the big thing we're here to talk about, of course, is
Static Shaq.
Static Shaq.
I want to make an apology to you and to the listeners. I've been hyping this episode up for a long time. Since we started the podcast, I've been excited to talk about this episode.
Yes, you have.
And it's not a good episode.
Not particularly.
It's not a good episode, and
I actually
I'm very
think
sorry.
I actually think that the commercial break interstitials
They were so good.
are better than the actual episode itself, which is probably why you have created this Mandela effect thing about thinking that Static and Shaq had several episodes together when they in fact
because
had
there's multiple
one.
basketball episodes.
Yes,
and I always just assumed Shaq was in those other because there's two more episodes with other NBA players.
Yeah.
And I always just assumed Shaq was also in those episodes.
Nope.
No, it's just this one, and it really breaks my heart to say it's not a good episode. This might be the worst episode of season 2 so far.
Season 2 has been pretty solid.
Yeah.
I mean, to be fair, we've also watched 4. Well, we've each watched 4, just not the same 4.
The next episode is my favorite episode so far.
You've mentioned that episode before, because I saw what it was, and I remember that one being particularly good. So this one, it's a little flat. I mean,
it is.
I mean, the whole hook of it is that
Shaq wants to play basketball, but he's too busy.
There's that. But
was there another story going on?
I mean, but the whole setup of the situation is that Shaq knew Mr. Hawkins from like way back in the day. Like Mr. Hawkins was his like guidance counselor, camp counselor, like that, some sort of thing.
his basketball camp counselor.
Yes, they've been friends for many years.
Because I too am friends with my high school basketball camp counselor.
Yes, well, I mean it's Mr. Hawkins. Everyone loves.
That's true. It is
Everyone
Mr.
loves
Hawkins.
But somehow he never mentioned this ever to Virgil or Sharon. But I can kind of see that.
Yeah, he's a very stoic man.
He's a very humble man.
He's not one to brag about people he's taught.
Yeah, he wouldn't be like watching a basketball game like, Shaq's a friend of mine.
Like, also, I taught him that move.
He probably said that at one point, and Virgil was just like,
yeah shut up, Pops.
Sure. Mm-hmm. Uh-huh. But so he's in town, Dakota City, for like some event or something like that, and so he like stops by and he's going to do like a community like basketball camp thing, which we never actually see.
No.
Never
he's
actually.
Too busy.
Because he's too busy, because he has...
Who is the real villain of this?
Well,
the
clearly
show? Hyde?
It's Tracy
or
the publicist.
Tracy.
Tracy the publicist, who's constantly whisking him around from thing to thing.
Making him do his job.
Also, I mean, this is definitely a characterization, but I have met people who are publicists who are very similar to this.
Yeah.
Who are absolutely kind of like just like this. I love that she even has the headset that she's always on all the time. And it's like, answers, oh, hi.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. The voice. Ugh.
Yeah.
I hate when people turn that voice on. I've been part of a few more conference calls these past few weeks for work, and I hear it when my coworkers turn it on.
Yeah.
I'm like, come on, guys.
It's exclusive to have now. I'm going to talk to you. Hi, Cameron. How have you been?
I mean, but the thing is, that's just a Disney voice. Like, that's like that. I turn it on when I go to Disney, and I know I do, and I hate myself for it.
With like your Disney people?
Yeah. Oh, 100% I turn it on.
Really?
Yeah.
It just gets higher and higher.
Yeah, I get an octave up.
Yeah. Should we go on Nemo?
Never Nemo. Never Nemo.
Never Nemo. No, Tracy's the real villain here, because like Shaq basically says, hey, like, Virgil, want to play basketball? And Virgil's response is my reference of the week. He says, oh yeah, can Mariah sing?
Yeah.
Like, oh yeah, this is classic. But they can't ever find time to play basketball.
Yes, because Tracy keeps making him do his job.
Yeah, exactly. And on top of that, the Rough Pack is trying to track down Static because they tore off a piece of his costume, and they're having Ferret.
Yeah, so this is the actual introduction of the two people we've already seen from last week. We meet Hyde, who is just a gross man.
He's got a weird, like, what is that when like your feet are angled in?
Oh yeah, I don't know the word for it.
But he like it's like horrific. It's really funky looking.
Well, there's one shot where it's like a close up on his face.
It's grotesque.
And I paused. I'm like, please never do this again.
Did you happen to catch who voices?
I didn't.
It's Tone Loc.
Who's that?
He was the cop in Surf Ninjas.
Amazing. Oh god damn it.
I mean, he's got a great voice.
Yeah.
For those of you who have not seen the 90s classic,
you don't have to.
Surf Ninjas. I did bring up his IMDb, so I could throw out a few other ones here. He is in The Adventures of Ford Fairlane, another very obscure movie featuring Andrew Dice Clay that is hilarious but horrifically chauvinistic. He was in Fern Gully, The Last Rainforest, as the voice of Goanna. He was in, of course, Surf Ninjas. He was the detective in the first Ace Ventura.
Okay.
He played Juice in the classic film Blank Check.
Who's Juice?
He was, I think, one of the
goons?
I think he was one of the goons. Yeah. I mean, I would expect someone named Juice is probably a goon.
Yeah. Were you about to ask if I've seen Blank Check?
Yeah.
I fucking love Blank Check. Are you kidding me? That's
Blank
such
Check
a good
great.
movie. Yeah.
I mean, the best part about it is you'll go back and think like, oh, he bought all of that with just $1 million?
Yeah.
My God.
Yeah, that mansion alone is like $6 million.
I'm pretty sure that's set
minimum.
I'm pretty sure it's set in LA, right?
Probably.
Yeah, and that movie, wait.
Like 95, 96.
Came out in 94.
Oh, damn it.
I mean, that house still would have been worth more than $1 million,
yeah.
though. But I guess if he did a down payment and a mortgage. But no, like... But hang on, no, he must have paid in cash because he didn't have.
He only had cash,
he has no credit to prove. He would need like actual credit to do a mortgage. So yeah, he paid in cash. He shouldn't have had anything left over after that.
Right.
But I mean, yeah, all that money goes. He was in Heat. He was in Spy Hard. He was in Titan AE.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, he was one of the voices there. I kind of remember that, actually. And then, of course, Static Shock and a few other things beyond that. But there you go, guys. If you wanted to brush up on your Tone Loc filmography,
great.
This is a good stopping point.
I also have great news for people who also find Hyde disgusting. We never see him again.
You never see him again.
Yes.
Like...
It's very refreshing for me.
It is.
He's gross.
He is really, really gross. I'm glad we don't see any more of him. I like Ferret. I like Kangor. They're both fun. Mm-hmm. Kangor's got a great theme song, too.
He does. It almost borders on racist.
Yeah, it is a little bit like...
It's definitely that... What was the song from the late 90s that had that same, like, riff?
I have no... idea whatsoever, but I mean there's like kind of a Rastafarian,
it's very Rastafarian, yeah,
esque element to it. It kind of sounds like someone imitating that style rather than maybe necessarily doing it sincerely, but it's definitely catchy. The widest thing I've ever said in my entire life. It's definitely catchy.
Something got a pretty hip beat, if you ask me. You know, it's something I can wiggle my finger to.
Something you can dance to, yeah. I mean, by dance, I mean just like stand in one place and like shake one limb. But so it's got these like two stories of basically they're constantly on the run. Tracy's taking them places. Ferret is sniffing out Virgil everywhere they go, and of course, Shaq eventually figures out that they're hunting him down because he is static. And then there's a fantastic final fight of all of them in the old community center. Mm-hmm. And I particularly love the setup whereby Hyde chucks a hockey goalie at them and misses, but gets embedded in the wall, net open side up.
Yep.
And you're like, oh, I know exactly.
Oh, is that a basketball hoop?
Where this is going. Because then Static throws a bunch of weights at Hyde and then wraps them around him and then dribbles him on a trampoline and dunks him in the hockey hoop.
It's such an amazing sequence.
It's so blatantly, but also beautifully set up.
I also really appreciate that we have three superpowered beings, one Ferret, all fighting each other, and then Shaq is just like, oh, I'm big and tall too.
Yeah.
And it's like is equal to the Bang Babies.
Yeah, because he takes out Kangor.
Yeah.
With some really fantastic like acrobatics that I would not have expected from someone of his.
Oh, he's got that. That was real.
His size.
Yeah, so they just put a mocap suit on him in the early 2000s.
The very earliest elements of mocap we've ever seen. I mean, it's kind of like, look, overall, it's kind of dumb. I think, as happens.
What I think is the big thing you skipped over is his heart-to-heart with Shaq, Virgil's heart-to-heart, where Shaq.
Oh, by living a double life?
Yeah, Shaq is his superhero identity, and Shaquille is his real personality.
Yeah.
And he has to find the balance, Virgil. I know you're static.
Balance, like balancing this basketball on my fingertip.
Yes.
It's kind of dumb.
It's very dumb. Like, this episode was... it broke my heart a little bit of how bad this episode was.
I mean, Static structurally very much leans into this idea of having the bulk of the episode really centered around a character story and then overlaying a oftentimes less than stellar like villain plot and villain character on top of it. And I think oftentimes that can work well if the character driven story is actually something really interesting. And I think even Brother Sister Act, the episode I watched and you didn't, not the episode you watched and I didn't.
Oh, great.
Has an element of that too. It's like the villain plot isn't great, but I like the dynamics happening here.
Based on the episode that you watched and I didn't, I think it would be interesting if those two stories had combined, where you have both the hero and the villain trying to find Virgil's identity. The thing is, Cameron, there's a lot of story that would have to happen there. Are you suggesting a two-parter?
A two-parter?
I am suggesting a two-parter.
You just want a 2-part episode with Shaq. One episode wasn't enough.
No, I'm saying you cut. Oh God, that hurt me to say. You cut Shaq.
How dare you? Sir?
I'm saying you take the villain plot of Static Shaq and the hero plot or the family plot of Brother Sister Act, and you have that be the same episode, where you have Sharon following certain trails, while you have the Rough Pack following other trails, and kind of all coming to the same spot at the same time. Where Virgil's kind of stuck in the middle of like, I have to keep this identity safe here, but I also have to keep Sharon safe because now she's too close to these guys. I think that could be super interesting.
It could be interesting. Also, I just realized that I think that episode title comes from the movie Sister Act.
Yes.
I think it's a pun on that. Didn't realize it till just now. That's surprising too, because I'm usually in the habit of picking up that sort of thing.
You are. Just like Static Shaq is just a playoff.
You're just gonna go right past that?
I am.
You son of a bitch. But okay, so I do have a question for you though.
Okay.
So over the course of the episode, Shaq finds out that Virgil is static. Do you think it's irresponsible of him not to tell Mr. Hawkins, who is a good family friend of his, that his son is every single day out there putting his life in danger?
Well, I think he just doesn't have time because Tracy just keeps him away.
Whiskers away before he can do anything about it?
He probably tries multiple times. And Tracy's like, hey, Shaq, baby, we gotta go. We gotta hit the road. You have 7 more meetings in 26 cities.
Wait a minute. What if Tracy is the big bad of this season? What if she is the Edwin Alva of season 2 of Static Shaq?
You've already cracked the code.
God damn.
Because Shaq accidentally slips it to Tracy. So now Tracy knows the identity.
Can we use a different phrasing on that? Okay. All right, continue, please.
So now Tracy knows.
Yeah.
And so she's going to try and play publicist to Static and use that as blackmail against him.
Okay.
Where she's going to force him into public situations to net her profit.
Okay. And she's also on the side, like going around and encouraging bang babies to have to go out there and cause havoc. She probably murdered Boom and Mirage's parents. Just to try and get yet another bang baby villain. Actually, this is ultimately what it comes down to.
She's the one that made me watch the wrong episode.
she's the one that made you watch the wrong episode, and she's the one that's turning all the bang babies bad. She sees the potential from Static. Like, okay, we have one hero, but we need a lot of villains to make this work. So every other bang baby she comes across. He always has
to be in the public eye. News is moving really fast in 2000, 2001. We got a lot of shit going on.
It's the beginning of the internet era.
Yes. The .com boom is about to bust. Or just busted.
I don't remember.
I don't remember when that happened either.
Children.
And she's like, we need a figure that's always in the public light. Static, if you're not doing something at least once a week, people are going to forget about you. That Superman fellow, he's got like 36 villains.
Yeah. And Batman, my God, he's got an entire asylum full of them.
Yes.
You got to step up your game.
They have a full villainous calendar set up.
Very deftly created by Calendar Man.
Yes.
Yeah. I mean, like this.
I really want that comic now, where you have all of the villains in Arkham and Calendar Man holding a meeting of like, it's too chaotic in Gotham right now, so I'm going to organize everything here. And people are just like fighting over which days they get. And it's like, I demand every other Thursday. he's like, well, I need Thursday because I have kids and they have soccer practice on Tuesdays and Wednesdays, and then I'm responsible for them on weekends. So Thursday's the only day that I'm good for villainy. It's like, is there some kind of compromise we can make here?
Do you think they settle it with a wheel? They just spin a wheel with days on of the week. I'm like, okay, and Joker gets Tuesdays.
Oh, absolutely. Well, that's how it starts.
Yeah, but then the Joker murders the person who spun the wheel. Like, and Joker now gets Saturdays. Saturdays. Yeah. He wants Saturdays.
Yes. Well, I just want the compromising aspect of the villains.
I mean, did we ever talk about the idea that there should be a villain publicist? We've talked about
we have talked about a villain publicist.
Okay,
we talked about the publicist, the costume designer, and the
lair creator. Yes,
the villainous real estate agent.
God, what a beautiful thing to do. Mm-hmm. Should write those comics at some point.
If only we had the skill.
Yeah, which we definitely don't. Now, did you also watch the interstitials?
I did.
Right, yeah, because you sent those to me, and I watched those this morning.
We'll publish those on
well, I'll put in the show notes.
Yeah, I'll put them up on our Instagram story.
Okay,
as well.
Great. They're fun. They're really hokey. They definitely pull from the 1960s Batman TV show, which I really enjoy. Mm-hmm. But they're just like, they're kind of like fun and goofy and charming.
It's definitely, they had Shaq for 15 minutes.
Yeah.
And they got to cram in all of their 1-second shots.
Yeah, it's like he has flying lessons. He
shoots a basket.
He gets hit with Bang Baby gas and grows super tall. He gets then shrunk down to baby size again. They fix that. Then he has like electric powers, and he ends it by just going off and being his own superhero.
Exactly.
They honestly were like pretty fun. We talked about this last episode too, that they just don't do stuff like that anymore. They're sort of like they're actually going to take time to. Probably not animate because they clearly just like pulled things from other episodes.
Oh yeah, the lip sync was very
bad. But like they went to the effort of actually producing, it was 8 minutes total of content to just slip into commercials.
Well, I mean, if we're talking full content, because there were 30-second bumps, and the first 10 seconds is the same for all of them, and then the last 5 seconds.
You've seen him in the movies. Yeah. You've seen him on the court. Now he's a superhero. Static Shaq.
Yeah, it's so good. Yes, they probably had 10 minutes of footage of Shaq.
Yeah.
That's all they had to work with.
But I mean,
they did a good job with it.
They do a good job, and he looks like he's having a lot of fun with it.
Yeah.
Which is what makes it great. And like I didn't realize that these were all like lead ups to the actual episode. Mm-hmm. Like at the very end of the last one, like, oh yeah, I'm like, tune in next month when Shaq actually appears on an episode. So clearly these were the promos they were putting out around the beginning of this season. Like around the time they probably did a bunch of Batman promos leading up to that first episode.
I was trying really hard to find them. I couldn't find any.
Maybe they didn't do it then.
No, they must have, because Kids WB was so good at like cross promotion.
Yeah.
Because there was another thing. I forgot about this in Static Shaq. Tracy says jinkies. That's not allowed.
Does she?
She does.
But I mean, it's like...
And so that makes me think...
Jinkies is trademarked.
It should be. I didn't check, but I'm curious if What's New Scooby-Doo came out around this time, if it's the same voice actress as Daphne or Velma.
Oh, I mean, I can look that up pretty quickly, actually, because I have the wiki open here. Karen Parsons is the voice of Tracy Flackman, and she only appears in this episode. But based off her Wikipedia, let's see what else she's done.
Nope, she did nothing between Static Shock and 2019's Fly.
Yeah, it looks like she mostly does more live action work. So, nope, she wasn't. But
okay.
Nope. There you go.
Interesting. Just having that DC crossover. Oh, she was in an episode of Fresh Prince.
Oh, there you go.
Oh, she's Hillary. Fresh. She was in an episode. She's the sister.
Oh, okay. Oh, shit.
Yeah.
That's pretty crazy. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. Like, the episode was kind of dumb, but I love that they did this in general, just to be able to do like the fun interstitials and stuff like that.
And this is a thing that happens every night, because we know we have Bow Wow coming up soon.
That's true. Yeah, we
have.
Isn't it Little Romeo?
Romeo coming up soon. I was still in Fast and Furious mindset.
How dare you?
Little Romeo coming up soon. We have the the rest of the NBA coming in. We have Yao Ming coming in. Steve Nash.
Nash.
Coming in. Yep, my boy.
Yep.
My 13 is my favorite number.
Great.
He went to your college.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
He played for my team.
Great.
Temporarily.
Great.
Then went back to the fucking Suns.
How dare he?
Yes. And I feel like we have a couple more of just like the weird cameos coming in.
I mean, this show does a lot of cameos, which is pretty fun. And they do good jobs with them.
Yeah, they're always done really well.
Yeah, we get some more Batman, I think. We get some Green Lantern at some point.
Yeah, we have
the
Justice League coming in.
Justice League coming in, yeah.
We have Anansi coming in. He's one of my favorites.
We have who?
Anansi is an African superhero.
Oh, is that when Virgil goes to Africa?
Yeah.
And he's like the spider? Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah, that's a good one.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so Anansi is based off the real African folklore of like the spider god.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
God, this show's great.
It's so good.
Even though you hate
Butch Hartman, stop stealing this episode.
Even though you hate this episode, it's so good. Anything else, or shall we move along here?
I think that's everything I have.
All right, well, why don't we move along to some notes from friends here?
Great.
So, obviously, in our last...
We did. I forgot about this.
In our last episode, we had a spirited debate about what is Will Smith's most famous role. Independence Day.
Yes, outside of Fresh Prince.
Outside of Fresh Prince. Independence Day or Hitch. And the answer was...
Neither.
It was absolutely
Men in Black.
Men in Black. That's what everyone I asked said. Also, that is what Maddie and Ashley, and then also Watchtower Database, they all wrote to us to say that it's definitely Men in Black.
Yep. Yes, I believe my friend Trey also wrote in and said his vote was for Men in Black, but he's also seen Independence Day more than Hitch.
Yes.
Which, duh.
Yeah. But you had an interesting theory, though, that what you choose had to do with who you hung out with, right?
Yes. So it comes from more of a social, not social. Yeah. Social kind of background.
Yes.
I think if you have more male-centered friends, you probably put Independence Day higher on your list. Independence Day / Men in Black higher on your list. But if you have more female-centered friends, like I did growing up, you would put Hitch higher up on your list because
it's a rom-com.
Yes, as the stereotype pursues.
Yes,
girls only talk about rom-coms.
Yes, I'm not going to say anything. I'm going to let you keep talking here. Dig yourself deeper, by all means. Please.
No, the shovel hasn't even touched the dirt yet.
Okay. Nice. But yeah, I think the real definitive answer there is probably Men in Black, which makes sense because he's done 3 Men in Black movies and 1 Independence Day movie.
And 1 Hitch movie.
Yes. So we probably should have maybe seen that coming ahead of time.
It's like saying Tommy Lee Jones' most famous role is Man in the House. Or Man of the House, excuse me. Definitively.
That in contrast to his role as the U.S. Marshal of both The Fugitive and U.S. Marshals.
Yep.
But enough about franchise talk.
Franchise part 2. Here we go.
We're going again. But no, we also we did have a question. So this is a question we've been holding on to for a while from Benjamin David of the Above and Batman Beyond podcast, and he was asking like what our thoughts are on the DC TV universe in general. So we were holding on to this until after we had both finished watching Crisis on Infinite Earths, and by that I mean I finished watching Crisis, and
I gave up,
and you gave up, not without good reason.
It was bad.
It was pretty bad. I did watch all 5 episodes. It didn't work for me on a few levels.
You mentioned we're going to go into spoilers for people who haven't watched it.
So spoilers for the 5-part crossover event.
But also save your time.
Yeah.
You said it kind of has some like Captain Planet bullshit in the middle of that.
Yeah, so like kind of the big thing that happens is the brief plot synopsis of this is that the Anti-Monitor is going around and has released this wave of antimatter that is destroying universes one by one, right? So one of the cool things about it is over the course of the show we see its effect on various sub-universes. So we see like a moment from Batman 66. We have Robert Wool returning as Alexander Knox from Batman 89 on Earth 89.
Amazing.
You saw that one, I think. That would have been part of the first 3.
Well, I don't know any of what you just said, so I don't think I noticed.
You've seen...
Yes, I've seen Batman 89.
So you remember the character of Alexander Knox, who was the reporter who works alongside Vicky Vale.
I did not remember that.
Okay, that actor is Robert Wool.
Okay.
So they brought him back to reprise his character sitting on a park bench in what is supposed to be like a continuation of the 1989 universe. And he sees like the antimatter wave coming.
Okay.
We saw it take out Huntress from the Birds of Prey universe. So, one of the cool things is they find a way to like kind of squeeze these things in and like very superficial, but still kind of like fun little ways. But this antimatter wave is going through and taking out universes one by one. It's like it takes out just the entirety of like Supergirl's universe. And they basically all end up having to escape to hide out on the Arrow's Earth, which I'm pretty sure is in fact Earth 1. So they're hiding out there, and that's like they have to make their final stand. And so it becomes like whoever's left over from Supergirl, from Team Flash, from Team Arrow, from the Legends of Tomorrow, Batwoman. We get some stuff from Black Lightning, which is kind of fun to throw in there. So they're all going to have to like go up and fight against the Anti-Monitor, but they're trying to track down the 7 Paragons. So it's like the Paragon of like truth and love and humanity and friendship and heart and very all Captain Planet sort of stuff. So by the end of episode 3, everyone has been wiped out except for these 7, one of whom was supposed to be Brandon Routh's Superman, who is in fact still the Christopher Reeve Superman from the original films, as well as
but now has
Superman Returns.
now has turned evil.
Well, no, he doesn't actually turn evil.
He was mind manipulated by
Lex Luthor,
by Supergirl's Lex Luthor.
Yes, John Cryer, who I actually hadn't seen his version of Lex Luthor. I like him. I think he does a good job. Yeah. I mean, it's distinct.
He's no Rosenbaum.
He's no Rosenbaum. No, he's no Gene Hackman. But I like him though. I thought he worked pretty well in that role. But he manipulates the Brandon Routh Superman, who's also kind of the Kingdom Come Superman. So this basically says that the Superman Returns universe would continue to the point where some of the critical events from Kingdom Come happens, namely the death of Lois and everyone else at the Daily Planet due to a Joker attack.
Right.
Who's not explicitly named, but that's heavily implied. That's what happened. So now he's wearing the Kingdom Come suit, which looks great. I would say best Superman suit live action yet.
Interesting.
On screen. I don't know about you.
I'll have to see it again.
It looks really good. It's really, really good.
I was too busy trying to pull my eyes back from how far back they rolled.
That's fair. But so he is supposed to be the paragon of truth that it escapes to like the no man's land or whatever, where like time doesn't exist or whatever. But Lex Luthor pulled a little switcheroo, and now he's the one left behind. So then they have to find a way to like get back. And ultimately, what ends up happening is that Arrow gets killed and becomes Spectre. I love Spectre as a character. A lot of it from Kingdom Come. You've read Kingdom Come, right?
Yes.
Okay. It's the Alex Ross.
Drawn
one. It's great. I think it's one of the best DC comics ever made. But they end up having to like basically recreate the universe, and ultimately what ends up happening is a really generic like CGI energy blast fight between the Anti-Monitor and Oliver as Spectre, while the 7 Paragons stare up into the sky at a burgeoning universe and just concentrate on it. And then that rebirths the whole thing. Real dumb. Really, really dumb.
So going back to the question.
Oh, hang on, I'm not done.
Oh, you're not done? Okay, please continue.
And then
you have a movie in 30 minutes.
Yes, I know. Ooh, boy. Okay. But what ends up happening after that is then like the final episode is now like the universe has been rebirthed. And so now all of the different universes are merged into one. So now like Supergirl's National City exists in the same Earth as Flash's Central City, as Star City. So it's all kind of bonded together. But like overall, it's a nice attempt at trying to do like a big crossover event and to be super comic booky, but they don't really ultimately have like the budget for it, and it's just kind of a mess.
Do you think they should have just named like the new universe Vancouver?
Yes, they should have. Yeah, exactly. Earth, Canada.
Yes.
But I think it's not great, but yes, tying back to the original question of what does this mean for like the TV in general, because that episode ends with us getting snapshots of all these different universes. So at one point they show us the Titans universe, at one point they show us the Doom Patrol, which I guess are different universes. Which is kind of weird, but I guess it kind of makes sense.
No, we see Beast Boy in both. Oh, you mean separate from the Arrowverse?
Well, no, but even when they're hopping to different universes, they show Earth whatever, and it's the Titans, and they show Earth whatever, and it's Doom Patrol. So they're different Earths.
That doesn't make sense because.
But it kind of does, because
unless there is a separate Doom Patrol in the Titans universe.
I think that's maybe what they're suggesting is that's also why like the Doom Patrol Titans are just a little bit different than the ones we see in Titans, but it doesn't really matter. But, and for some reason they showed the Green Lantern movie.
Hell yeah.
Like an extended sequence of wide shots of the Green Lantern movie. But, the idea is
Still
all these...
waiting for Sinestro Corps.
Right. All these universes exist out there. They, of course, show Brandon Routh once again in his Superman suit, but it's it no longer has the black on the emblem. It's the yellow again. And they do the classic Christopher Reeve Superman Returns, kind of almost look like the camera fly-off thing. It's beautiful. It's well done. But I think... it does also highlight the fact that the DC TV stuff is a bit of a mess. There was a pretty fun moment in the 4th episode where TV Flash runs into Ezra Miller's movie Flash. And it's actually it's worth watching that clip alone. It's a pretty fun scene. It was spoiled immediately. It was all over the internet as soon as it happened. But it's kind of a fun little moment. But overall, DC TV had a head start, but it's always been a bit messy and a bit disconnected. And I think now that Marvel Studios has ownership over what's going to happen with Marvel TV and it's going to be on Disney Plus, I think they're going to end up very quickly surpassing the quality of the DC TV stuff. But I'm curious what your thought is.
I agree. There was a video that I watched the other day that was talking about something similar to this, but with gaming and with Nintendo specifically, on how people always cheer for Nintendo for being the ones that pioneer all the new stuff for gaming, and they bring in all these new ideas and stuff. But that's not actually what they do. Is they wait for the other studios to kind of burn their R&D budget, go through all the trials of stuff, and then once they've kind of come close to perfection, Nintendo comes and just takes it one step beyond that.
Okay.
Which I think is kind of what Marvel is doing with all these stuff. Is they're letting DC take these big steps and these big leaps of let's try all this weird stuff and see what lands and what doesn't. And as they're about to take that final step, Marvel comes in and is oh no, now we're going to do it better than you.
Yeah.
And so I think that has happened. That happened probably in the midst of the Netflix Marvel stuff. I think is when Marvel was on par or slightly a bit better than the DC
I think
content.
The Netflix shows had a definitely a more polished production element to it, and I think some of it's great. I think a lot of it's pretty mediocre.
Yeah, I think DC's still better with the crossover than Marvel was. I think that's TV specifically.
I don't know. I mean, look, there was a lot of problems with the Defenders. It wasn't necessarily great storytelling, but in terms of weaving those characters together, I thought I actually did a pretty decent job.
Okay.
The story they were telling was not particularly interesting necessarily, but the crossover element didn't feel quite as clunky. The crossovers I've watched from the Arrowverse, they're ambitious, but they don't have the resources to back up their ambition, I think. Whereas I feel like at least Netflix had the budget to back it up.
Yeah. So I think DC on CW DC, I feel like I'll go back a step. I feel like DC is in this weird crosshair where they have two kind of, it feels almost completely separate studios going at this, where you can either go into the kind of more gritty R-rated territory of DC Universe content. We have your Swamp Things, your Titans, and your
Doom Patrols.
Or you can go into the sexy smolders of CW.
So much smoldering.
There's a great interview with Grant Gustafson from a couple years ago.
Grant Gustin.
What did I say?
Grant Gustafson?
Yeah,
Grant Gustin. That's his Nordic cousin.
Yeah. Grant Gustin, I think from Comic-Con 2016, probably a Conan interview, where they talk about what actually goes into auditioning for a CW character, and they do talk about the smolder is a big part of your interview.
Oh, I bet, yeah.
Which is fucking hilarious.
Yeah. I mean, they have a type.
They do. They have a very CW is very specific type.
And this is not to discount the talent of the people involved. I think Stephen Amell, Grant Gustin, Melissa Benoist, they're all really talented people. I didn't say Ruby Rose, but I think some of them are all really talented people.
She is a great runway model.
Sure. Yeah, but I would agree with that. They definitely have a type they go for.
I think DC is kind of in an interesting spot where I think they want to do more of that crossover. Because who's the big producer on
Greg
everything?
Berlanti.
Yeah, because he produces the DC Universe stuff as well.
Yeah,
and so I feel like you can feel the push of these two people trying to push these two spheres together and just not quite getting it. And I think that movement of trying to move parallel towards each other has stopped any movement forward.
Oh, I think it's really interesting. I think that's fair.
where they're so focused on crossovers, they kind of forget to just live in their own world.
And I think the crossover thing is maybe actually hampering their storytelling a little bit. Mm-hmm. Like, I used to watch Arrow, and it was fine. I just kind of tapered off. But if I were someone who only watched Arrow, and if I got to this and I'm like, oh, because it also basically becomes like a de facto Arrow finale.
Yeah.
If I were to be like, what the fuck is this, and what does it have to do? Like, it really doesn't serve Oliver well in terms of finale for having like hung an entire show and universe on him. Mm-hmm. It seems like it's not quite there.
And they don't do good. I mean, this is also just me trying to catch myself up. CW doesn't do the justice of recaps.
Yeah, I was like, I don't know what the fuck is going on. Like,
because they did
Arrow has a daughter from the future that's like fully grown. Like, what is this?
CW made their own recap before Elseworld, I believe. No, what was the one before? Before the one where it was Supergirl, Flash, and Arrow, like their first big crossover.
Yeah, I can't remember what that one was called.
They did their own recap, which was smart. Put it on CW, put it on YouTube for people that want to catch up, because you're isolating such a big audience if you don't do this.
Yeah.
And I know it's gotten kind of out of control now, but you know your story. Don't make the fans be the one that have to do these recaps, because then you have a 30-minute recap where only 6 minutes of it actually is necessary to go forward.
Yeah, the rest of it's just padding out so they can get more advertisements in there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well, I know not even just that. I mean, that is an aspect, but no, like the fans don't know.
Oh yeah.
What to focus on, so they'd have to talk about everything.
Yeah.
And when you have that,
these are the exact things you need to know. Just be caught up enough to watch this.
Yeah. When you have that, you still have this. It's still a barrier of like you have an audience that wants to watch.
Yeah.
And now CW specifically has made a barrier of not kind of letting they let them in, but they let them in kind of in the middle of a game.
So many sports references this time.
I'm super into the sports right now.
You're really keen on it.
Mm-hmm.
Now, okay, so I'm curious. Which of the two do you think is going to have more legs going forward between CW and DC Universe? Which is going to keep going?
DC, mainly because of HBO Max.
Okay, because
I assume once that comes out, DC Universe will fold into it and just kind of be its own tab.
Yeah, I kind of speculate the same thing. And also worth noting that despite the companies we work for, which we have not stated explicitly, we do not know what's happening.
We do not know.
I always feel the need to like caveat these things. We actually have no insight to this. This is pure speculation on our part.
We do not speak for Hollywood. We speak for ourselves.
Exactly. We speak for the trees.
Yes, the trees. Go plant trees.
But I would agree with that. I think
we speak for Swamp Thing.
Exactly, for Swamp Thing. I think, they've like done a fresh start with CW verse now in terms of like it's all one place. That makes like the crossover stuff a little bit easier. The show is also kind of a passing of the torch onto Flash and Batwoman and Supergirl and Black Lightning to a slightly lesser degree. But I think those shows now are getting burdened by the soap opera element of it. And I think when Marvel is doing such great crossover work on film, and now that they're starting to factor it into the TV universe as well, I think that's all going to be like really tight and really highly produced storytelling. And I think that it's going to make the CW stuff feel like a bygone era a little bit. And I agree with you that I think the DC Universe stuff has more legs, but I think they have their own problems too. I mean,
just bad writing.
Yeah, you really liked Doom Patrol. I liked a lot of it. It was just too long, and I just kind of got like bored and lost in the middle of it. But from what I've heard, the Titans actually somehow got worse.
It did,
which is really boggling to me.
And I watched the first 2 episodes of Swamp Thing. It was fine.
Yeah.
But Harley's great. I'm still not caught up, but you've been praising Harley.
It continues to be fantastic. It continues to be like really amazing storytelling. And
Young Justice is still doing great.
Yeah. If I can encourage you to try and get a little bit caught up by our next episode, because I think we're going to want to be able to talk about Harley Quinn, the animated series,
alongside Birds of
Prey, which would be interesting. Yeah, I agree with you. I think the DC Universe will probably get folded into HBO Max. And
because we already know we're getting a Green Lantern series.
That's true.
On Max. And they announced another.
It's like Strange Tales or something like that. Yeah. I can't remember, but no, I mean, like I don't know. I'm hopeful. Like rewatching the Crisis stuff made me realize I'm not really missing out on much in terms of watching the CW. They do have a new show that I'm a little bit intrigued by. It's going to be Tyler Hoechlin's Superman, who I think is great, and I cannot remember her name, but the actress who plays Lois. But it's going to be a show centered around the two of them with 2 like teenage sons. which I think is kind of an interesting idea. Like I've never seen that particular angle done before, so I might be like kind of intrigued by it. But I think if they had said, "Hey, we're going to spin this off and put it on like HBO Max," I might be a little bit more excited for it.
Yeah.
So
because we know the budget will be a little bigger.
Yeah. But I don't know. It'd be interesting what happens with DC TV.
Yeah.
I don't think cartoons are really their priority. Although it will be interesting to see what happens with Harley, because I think Harley's doing well.
I've always stood by the fact that Marvel has always made better movies, while DC has always made better animated content.
Yeah,
I think that's been pretty consistent since the 90s.
Yeah, I haven't watched a lot of the Marvel
Fucking
stuff.
fight me, X-Men fans.
Yeah, I mean, well, hang on. We both love X-Men Evolution. I think X-Men Evolution. I think
because it was
it's the same creative
PTOS,
team. Yeah, I think that's one you can hold up amongst the best of the DCAU. And then I've heard like Earth's Mightiest Heroes apparently is supposed to be quite good.
I watched the first season of Mightiest Heroes. I think the second season is supposed to be even better. But yeah, the first season of Mightiest Heroes was great.
But I think
Drake Bell's Spider-Man was surprisingly good.
Yeah, I've heard that's good too. I think they have a few like gems throughout there, but they don't have a cohesive universe.
Yeah, they don't have the DC animated universe. They don't have Teen Titans. They don't have
Brave and the Bold, which I continue to watch,
fantastic.
Or Young Justice.
Young Justice.
So I don't know. I'm hoping that maybe that with Young Justice doing well for them, and with Harley Quinn doing well for them, we might get some more animated stuff. Which should be exciting. But shall we move along to bat plugs here? Because you're right, I have a movie in 15 minutes.
Yes, very quick bat plugs.
What are you plugging this week, Cameron?
I mentioned this to you last week, but I started watching this very bizarre show called Taskmaster.
Oh yeah,
on YouTube. It's a British game show where they kind of bring together a bunch of British comedians, to partake in 5 episodes worth of just the strangest challenges. So some like the one of the ones that I just watched, which was really well done, is the task was each of them individually had to recreate a retro video game in real life, and they had 30 minutes.
It's pretty great.
So yeah, everything is like a very intense timer.
Like Tetris?
Yeah, so one girl did Tetris. One girl got like the staff golf carts, like the set golf carts, and made Mario Kart.
That's fantastic.
One guy, because it's all filmed in England, so one guy made fake weapons and made a GTA game.
It's fantastic.
What was the best? The best one was, oh my God, this guy went to a park, and you can use anything around you. So like you have kind of a stagehand ready. It's like, I need this thing, and they will just bolt off, and in your 30 minutes, they'll come back with whatever props you need.
Yeah.
So you have an unlimited budget. So one guy went to the park nearby the set and found a bunch of people playing soccer, and he's like, hey, will you guys reenact Space Invaders for me? And so got like a crane set up of an overhead shot of a bunch of people walking side to side, like space, and he had like a plastic balls, and he was throwing it at them. It was very well done.
That's fun. That's really fun.
Yeah, it's a very fun game. It's definitely like turn your mind off kind of entertainment.
Mm-hmm.
But I think 4 seasons are up on YouTube now, and I highly recommend it. It's very dumb and very fun.
Okay, I'll go check that out. Sounds pretty good.
And on the opposite end of the spectrum, you were plugging.
Well, I have 2 things. Okay. One is Sex Education, which I've been watching.
Oh, it's so good.
It's really good.
How far are you now?
I have 1 episode left on season 1.
Okay.
But it's fantastic. Oh, yeah. It's super fun.
So you know the bully story.
Yeah, I got most of his story at this point. But it's super fun. It's really funny. It's got this amazing, like, it's set in the modern era, but it's got a very 80s aesthetic to it. And the music's very much of that time. And it kind of like plays off of some of the character tropes from teen 80s movies, but it definitely gives it like a modern tinge to it.
And every character is so likable.
Every character is so likable and so interesting. And like, I mean, it is sexy, but not sexualized. Mm-hmm. Like, it doesn't feel exploitative in any way. Like, the way I've been describing it is it's brazen in a really delightful way. Mm-hmm. It's very English, which is part of the reason I love it. But like everyone,
in a very English mood right now.
Yeah, everyone in the show is super fantastic. So really, genuinely, highly recommend that. I think it's one of the best things I'm watching right now.
Yeah, I agree. Season 2, I don't think is as good as season 1, but it's still so much fun.
Yeah, it's just really, really great storytelling. So I highly recommend checking that out. I won't say what it's about, because I think even like the way
the title gives it away.
But not really.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, but like I think the way they even set up the overall premise is a little bit kind of fun and surprising. So I'd rather people just go in not knowing what to expect. But it's also got Gillian Anderson, the great Gillian Anderson, who is one of the greatest, most attractive, most incredible people ever to grace this planet.
The girl that plays Maeve
She's so good.
Who is not related to Margot Robbie, but looks exactly like Margot Robbie.
Looks a lot like Margot Robbie. She's really good. And Asa Butterfield's the main character. And his best friend Eric, I think, is probably the best character in the show. Is just fantastic. But so that, and then the other thing to plug is 1917, which you have now seen at this point.
I have.
It's amazing.
It is very, very good.
If, like I said before, I speculate that it'll win Best Picture because it's I might be eating my words by the time this comes out, but it's the sort of movie the Academy loves. Like it is like a genuine, like really well made movie. I mean, it's a big war epic, but the major conceit of it is that it's done in a simulated one take, essentially.
Well, we talked about it last week on our way to the Super Bowl. You have movies that are made to check off boxes.
Yeah.
This is a movie that was made that happened to also check off boxes.
Yeah. I have talked before about my annoyance at this category of what I refer to as Oscar-bation films. They're both Oscar-baity and they're a little bit masturbatory.
Yeah, Little Women.
Yeah,
even Little Women.
I think for me this year, like The Irishman and
Marriage Story.
I had actually haven't seen Marriage Story, but to me those kind of fit that box a little bit of like this feels like it was designed specifically to try and get Oscar attention. 1917. Obviously, it's directed by Sam Mendes, who directed Skyfall, so I have a bit of a bias. But also, he directed Road to Perdition, which is kind of his least recognized film, which I think is actually fantastic. It's what he made after American Beauty, and it's really good.
Which one is Road?
It's Tom Hanks, and actually a really young Tyler Hoechlin before he had his glow up, who's Superman. It's really, really good, and it's Paul Newman. It's young Daniel Craig is in it too, and it's a gangster movie, like 19.
Okay, it's not the movie I was thinking of.
Like 20s era gangster film, and it's really, really fantastic. But he's a fantastic director, and his grandfather fought in World War I, and so he wanted to tell a story about these characters, and it's really good. But it's also like genuinely really entertaining and really suspenseful and fucking beautiful. There is one sequence, if you've seen the trailer, you'll see it at night, with these flares flying overhead. And it's like, I mean, my jaw was on the floor. It's one of the most beautiful pieces of cinematography I've seen in years.
You talk about Road to Perdition, you don't mention the Tooch is in it. The
Tooch!
Stanley the Tooch Tucci is part of
the patron saint of this podcast, Stanley Tucci the Tooch. But no, I was really, really impressed by 1917. I really liked it a lot. Highly recommend. And of the stuff that is in Oscar contention, I think it's probably the one that is most valuable seeing in a theater.
Yeah, I agree.
Because it's not one you want to be able to walk away from, one, but two, it is genuinely gorgeous. Roger Deakins is the cinematographer on it, and he is one of the greatest living cinematographers ever. So.
Before I saw it, I was super on board of like, I want JoJo or I want Once Upon a Time to win. After seeing 1917, I get it. I'm like, okay, yeah. This is an amazing film.
It is, yeah. Very, very impressive. Highly recommend it. So yeah, go check that out and go watch some Taskmaster. Go watch some Sex Education.
Yeah, I would put Sex Ed maybe above Task, because Sex Ed is just a very good show.
It's really good. It's really good. Definitely worth seeing. But I think that does it for us this week, Cameron.
We did it.
Yeah, we did it. So if you have questions for us, if you have thoughts about the Oscars at this point, this will come out after that. If you have thoughts about who won, and if you're also dismayed at whatever the Joker wins, as I am.
If you have thoughts on the episode that Chris watched that I didn't, please send them in. If you have thoughts on the episodes that I watched that Chris didn't,
send them in,
because we'll be talking about that next week.
We are at Timm Talk Pod on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and Gmail. Cameron, where can they find you?
If you want to see my art and my hopeful Valentine's Day post that I will be posting on Valentine's Day, you can find that at Cameron.Dexter. If you want to see my face and all my Disney things that are going on, you can find that at CamDexter_Adventures.
Boom, boom, boom. And you can find me at Lordifer on Twitter and Instagram. I am in the midst of building the massive Lego 1989 Batmobile, and I will actually try and put some of that content up on Instagram to share with people, because I do love doing a good Instagram Lego build. So keep your eyes peeled for that.
Yes. Thanks for listening, everyone.
Thanks, everybody.
Bye.
Bye. Static Shaq. Whoop, whoop.